So there's a number of things that, that we can do to help people with low vision. There's a company called Humanware that takes this to the next level. For instance, there's a childhood form of macular degeneration. It's called Stargardt's disease, and it shows up usually in the early teens. Surprisingly, people with Stargardt's often have retinas that look worse than people with age-related macular degeneration, but they function extremely well because they get it so young, they learn how to adapt. So adapting to the disability if you're younger is easier than adapting when you get older. So those type of electronic aids where they have a camera that points to the teacher comes up on your screen on one half, and on the other half is your magnified text so that you can write. So kids with vision disabilities can have a computer that lets them, is very versatile. The camera's movable, it can be shined on the teacher, it can be shined on their paperwork. So there's a lot of very sophisticated low vision aids. Depending on your particular needs, these aids might be helpful for you. So I think it's important to remember that there's always ways to compensate and learn how to do things better. One of my favorite inspirational people with low vision is a guy by the name of Tom Sullivan. And this is a gentleman who was born blind. His parents were very distraught by the fact that they were blind, when he was born blind, but they were very well-to-do. And so they decided they would shelter little Tom from knowing that he was blind, and they would have him taught by people. And so Tom was probably 10 or 11 before he realized that other people had a sense that he didn't have. He didn't know he was blind, didn't know what vision was, so therefore didn't know that he had limitations. He learned how to do things, and he was very athletic, for instance. His father taught him how to throw a baseball by making a sound in the glove and have him throw the baseball to the glove. And he got quite good. He was actually had good natural skills, and he was a great pitcher, but he was always by ear. And he was so good when parents finally mainstreamed him, he got on a Little League team, and he was a pitcher, and he was totally blind. And he was actually a good pitcher as long as they compensated, but as the community evolved, and one time he hit a kid in the head with the ball, they decided maybe it wasn't such a good idea to have a blind kid be the pitcher, and so they decided they kicked him off the Little League team because they decided now that was a disability. But for a while he got away with this, a pitcher that was completely blind. He went on in college, and he was a wrestler. Wrestling is a sport that doesn't really require much vision. There's other clues, and he became a nationally ranked wrestler, and he was totally blind. He's now an executive. He went on to have a very productive life. He's a scratch golfer. Golf is not a particular vision where sight is a big thing. They just make a noise where the cup is, and he's an amazing putter. But he speaks to people with macular degeneration and with other vision disabilities, and he's very motivational because, as far as he's concerned, he's not disabled. He doesn't even exactly know what this thing called vision is. He just knows he functions in his life. So you might say to me, well, that's easy to do when you're born with it and you learn to compensate. That's very different. I'm an older person. I'm already in my 70s. I can't really make all these adjustments you're talking about. So I want you to think of another figure that's an inspiration, certainly an inspiration to me, and we've already talked about him today, and that's Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin accomplished many of his major life accomplishments after the age of 80. When he signed the Declaration of Independence, he was that age. He sat through those Continental Congresses. He invented a number of his inventions after the age of 80. So age is not a factor that should limit you. You're only as old as you think you are. And when Ben Franklin died, he was close to 90 and still never thought of himself as being an old person. So if you take some inspiration from people like this and realize that macular degeneration isn't cancer, it's not the end of the world. In some cases it's treatable. In most cases it's manageable through the techniques. We can find a new way to help you do what you need to do, and we can help you adjust.